So we currently use fossil fuels for the heating and electricity here on the site. So as we know, climate change is the major issue that's affecting everybody, mankind. So what we need to do is decarbonise the site to reduce our need for fossil fuels. So to decarbonise here would be to stop using as much fossil fuels as we use here and to use renewable energies such as hydro, water source, heat pumps. The challenges are that it's a Grade 1 UNESCO World Heritage Site. So the greatest restrictions and controls on what you do to a Grade 1 listed site are the highest that there are. So you have to be very considerate of the actual buildings and the structures to make sure that anything that you do doesn't affect the heritage or history of the site. So we do it in a very sensitive way, and we do it with all the consents from all the governing bodies such as the planning authorities and with Historic England. So far we've received the funding from the Rural Community Energy Fund to do the feasibility study and the development grant. So that's allowed us to look at it and look at the wheel pit and the water course, and we know now that we can put a water wheel back in there, we know we can put a turbine in there, and we know we can do water source heat pumps. So the second phase, which was development plan stage 2, we've also just about finished that now. So we've now got all the planning consent, which is great news. We've got the authorisation from the Environment Agency, and we know that in terms of the power we're going to produce, it satisfies the distribution authority for energy. Well, the first benefit is in terms of climate change, we'll be reducing our fossil fuel usage. And also, mainly for a site like this that is charity run, we'll be saving a lot of money because the renewable energy will mean that we're not paying for energy, we'll be generating our own. There's a positive benefit as well for the community, because this project is about this site and the community. The community element is to look at an old turbine that the Arkwright Society owns, bring it back into use, and generate the energy generated from that small turbine will be put into a community interest company, and the funds will be used for projects in the community, such as the heritage waterways in the village called the Bear Pit, and any other project in Cromford Village that we can help with. We would use those funds to help with those projects. So there's a real positive benefit for the visitor experience. For years this site has not had a water wheel, and for years this site's not had anything really physical to look at. There's a lot of history here, but putting a turning wheel in and to have the interpretation that will say that there's a water wheel here, there's a turbine here, you'll physically be able to see the water wheel, which will be an amazing experience to see. But to also understand through the interpretation that there's a water source heat pump. What does that mean? That means that that water can generate some energy to do primary heating for our buildings. So for the visitor experience, there's a lot for them to learn. And there's also the education element of that as well, where we get a lot of school parties come through here. So for them, in their early days and their school days, is to learn about water power is brilliant for schools. So because we've done the development plan and we've got the planning permission now, that's the major milestone for us. Okay, we've got another big hurdle, and this is a big challenge always on a charity-run site, is to find the funding for the hydro. We've got offer for 40% of it from the local authorities, which is brilliant. We now need to find a further 60%. We've got grants ready to go for grant applications, and we'll know about those in June. If they were successful, by the end of June we would have the authority to have the money to go forward, and lead times and doing all the works. I think probably by spring, late spring next year, we probably could have the hydro working.